Hello, soul friends. Welcome to Soulgarden, episode 23, part 2. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channels on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And check out our new meditations on Facebook and YouTube as well. We thank you for joining in with our spiritual, personal growth conversation that we're continuing regarding limerence. So if you clicked on this for the first time, hello, my name is Nicole, and I am from Soulflower. We are doing a podcast called Soulgarden, and this is a continuation of another of a prior podcast discussion. So please look for part one if you want to kind of be abreast of what's going on. But I think even if you start with this one, you'll still be able to have a great reference about what the discussion is about at this time. Without further ado, let's get into our disclaimers. Yeah, let's get into our disclaimers. First of all, this is not a formal podcast. This is an adult space. That means only you have to be at least 18 years old to be a part of this podcast, a part of this discussion that we are acknowledging. Now, if somebody under 18 sneak and listen to this podcast, it's great information, but we don't advocate for anyone under the age of 18 to, to be listening to this. So there's that. This presentation was created with Canva Designs. We do not own the rights to the music that you hear in the background. This is from an awesome channel called, again, we usually use Awake Nation, but I was feeling led to use this. It's called Music for Body and Spirit, and it's on YouTube as well. Please like, share, and subscribe to them because they have great work. If you're listening to this with your headphones, you can enjoy the frequency that's embedded in the background of the music. That's 963 hertz, which is the frequency of source. So, or God, or whatever you like to call them, it doesn't matter. Anyway, the intellectual material and the intellectual property in this podcast is inspired by Soulflower, by personal events. This one in particular is inspired by the Crappy Childhood Fairy channel on YouTube. The lady name is Anna Runkle, Runkle, I believe. Please like, share, and subscribe to her because she is good at what she do. You hear me? She's good at what she do. So if you about healing some shit, you need to get on over there, like, share, and subscribe because Anna over there doing it. Last but not least, we only market to you through our posts, through this podcast, and through our platforms only. We don't reach out. We ain't DMing you on the low. That's not us. That's a scammer. You get scammed. So we like for you to reach out to us. That way we know that you are ready for the information that we are presenting to you. You ready to heal it. So, or you ready to be informed about something. Whatever it is, you gonna have to contact us first. All right, that's the bottom line in it. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the continuation of our podcast discussion here. And this subject, which is limerence, Limerence, limerence. This is something that I hadn't heard of before. Maybe y'all have, maybe y'all have heard about it, but I hadn't heard about it, and honey, I suffered because I ain't heard about this shit. So that's why I'm presenting this shit to you, so that you can adjust your life accordingly. Because this shit right here is serious. So, as a recap, let's redefine limerence. Now, I'm going to define it differently than I did in part one, but it's all the same. It's all the same. It's like, words usually have one more than one meaning and one more than one definition, and you about to get another one that kind of leads you to it plays into what we talked about in part one. And this is this limerence example. A mental health phenomenon where an addiction to longing for wholeness becomes a whole obsession, a whole projection onto somebody else. So let me repeat that. A mental health phenomenon where an addiction to longing for wholeness becomes a whole obsessive projection onto someone else. So you obsessively project onto another person what you want them to do, which is to be in love with your ass or be your friend or whatever. You want to be their favorite person, whatever the scenario may be. It's excessive, and you addicted to that shit. That's what you need to know about limerence. The, let me my handwriting. It's something else, y'all. Cause I'm reading from my notes again. The notes that I had actually misplaced in part one, which is why we're doing part of the reason why we're doing part two too. Um, People that are limerent can mirror us by enjoying how much we crush on them. So this is like being addicted to contacting and being around your crush, so to speak. If it's romantically wise, if it's friendship wise, you always want to be around them. You don't want, you know, you just stuck up on them all the time, and it to the point of suffocation. Let's see, and they could go for family members as well. Let me go back to this. They can mirror us by enjoying how we crush on them. So this is saying that the other person, for instance, like when I have limerence in my shadow, if I am engaging in that pattern, that behavior, then I'm projecting that onto someone else. And that person that I'm projecting it onto, they enjoying it. They sopping it up like a sponge or a biscuit or some shit. And sometimes they become obsessed with how much you obsessed with them. Yeah, it sounds the way it is, all right? And usually this person is unavailable to the person that's limerent. So the person that is projecting their longing to be with that person, uh, the other person who just sopping up all the intention and getting a big head about it, a lot of times they are unavailable emotionally. They just want the attention, and that's it. And they'll play along. They'll, got some good actors out there. And they ain't just on TV. So be aware of that. Especially, I, I think this is so important because a lot of people that are empaths and that are, highly sensitive people, they are they are, they attract these type of relationships, people that feel deeply. They attract these type of relationships because they have a perception of love that's not developed the way that it needs to be developed. They haven't grew into a more mature perception of love. It's like being an adult, for example, being an adult and you have the mindset of a teenager when it comes to romantic love or friendship, so on and so forth. And this shit is rampant in society. It's out there, especially since the internet has been popping. It's out there. All kind of shit is going on, unimaginable shit, and a lot of it is rooted in this symptom of limerence. And these limerent behaviors and patterns. The longing in limerence, limerent states, which are, these, there's just this experience of just having this overwhelming attraction to someone for one reason or the other. Uh, it's almost overwhelming. It's very intense. So it's like, you know how they say, like the hard drugs like heroin, and the first, they used to say it about cocaine too. The first time that you try, you usually addicted. That's kind of how limerence is. The first time that you experience, it gives you like a rush of, hell, it feel like opium. These rush of emotions that are addictive because they feel very good. They make you feel alive. So it's like a piece of you has returned, so to speak. So that's why it's so overwhelming. And then it comes with these incessant thoughts. You think about the person a lot. You want to be around them a lot. Sometimes you have a strong physical attraction to them. You make a strong sexual attraction. Limerence makes you. Well, I said that. But as high as limerence take you, That's as low as your ass gonna get at the end of it all. You have to. It's like you just have to be around that person all the time, or you have to be in connection with that person. It's like an addiction to finding a lifelong connection that's authentic, but it's not authentic because it's coming from an unhealed space. Uh, in my experience, it was longing for a friend to be more than a friend, but we didn't start out that way. We started out dating, and I settled for being a friend. And for years, I longed to be more than a friend, and I kept it a secret for a very, very long time. Uh, and it actually affected my relationship because I knew it wasn't right because I was in a relationship myself, and so were they. I didn't. I found out late that they were in a relationship. I guess they was on a cheating spree, but I found out later. I had already had these feelings. I tell you, there's a good example. I don't know. A lot of y'all are maybe young, but there is this movie called Twilight, and it's a vampire story, vampire love story. But in particular, there is a werewolf in this named Jacob, and Jacob, we think he in love with Bella, which is one of the star characters in the movie. We think we in love with her, but it turns out he was in love with her daughter. Strange, right? There's already some strange shit happening, but stay with me here. Where the werewolves in these movies did something called imprinting, and once they imprint on you, they can't undo it. It can't be done. You know, they'll do anything to be around you. They'll defend you with their life. All of that shit is just this toxic love and toxic loyalty. You know, that in this passion that we all think is supposed to occur in relationships, when in fact it's unbalanced as fuck. Anything intense is imbalanced. So, if you want to check that out, you can actually find a YouTube. You know, you can watch the YouTube snippet of when Jacob imprints on Bella's daughter. Can't remember what her name is, but after that, it's all he wanted to do was be around Bella's daughter. He was up under her all day, every day, and that's kind of how limerence works. And you know, he would do anything. He'll be a friend. He'd be whatever she needed him to be. And that's how limerence works. You willing to be whatever they want you to be. You just want to be around them, and you want them to see you for who you are, really are, and how they, and you want them to reciprocate most of all the way that you feel about them. And that's just not the case. Them motherfuckers is not feeling that way. So yeah, I hope that is clear. That's an example of like a taboo like relationship. Like you were after the mama, and then you fall in love with the daughter. Limerence, that's an example of limerence. You know, like a taboo like a relationship. Uh, you might be in love with your best friend, or that wasn't my case. My case was I actually was doing some online dating, and I met a stranger that was on a, you know, having some complicated shit going on with their partner, and they didn't disclose to me that they had a partner, and we ended up dating and meeting up and all this stuff. And because I was young and undeveloped in my own perception of what real love looks like, period, not just what real love looks like to me. Um, I drug that shit out longer than it needed to be drug out, and and then I ended up again finding my life partner, and they ended up finding out about this shit, and it was just a whole fucking thing. When what I needed to do was just go to therapy and work through this shit, and do my inner work, and stop suppressing that shit in my shadow, because that's what I was doing. I was acting like that shit wasn't going out, and it was. I didn't know how to stop it until I started doing inner work and started doing shadow work, and I ended up finding Anna Runkle, which helped me immensely. Love, light, and unity to Anna Runkle for coming out with this information and exposing us to this information, because I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was a stalker or some shit. You know, even though I wasn't, I was allowing that person to uh, initiate conversation with me. And they kept doing it because they were addicted to the attention that I was giving them. And it was fucked up, y'all. Uh, Learn from my mistakes. That's how we get wisdom, right? So, but anyway, here's some open doors to limerence: loneliness, not wanting to be alone, uh, frenemies around you. That's an open door. Traumatic childhood, traumatic wounds. Feel like you don't belong here. That's the other sheep trait. Life's not fun. You're having some kind of unhappiness in your life that's deeply rooted. You might be in a marriage that's dry, or You might be bored with your partner. You might have some issues with your sexuality. You might be curious about exploring your sexuality. And you meet somebody and they take your ass over the top. You might feel disconnected to others. You might feel awkward. Have some issues with social anxiety. You might feel, yeah, those are some of the open doors, but it usually is rooted in um, shit like that. I'm not even gonna hold you. It's always rooted in your past and an underdeveloped perception of what real love looks like. It was rooted for me in my childhood. Um, I used to have an addiction to hoping things would eventually work out, and I would be seen for the valuable person I really am. Never happened, y'all. And you wanna know why? It's because that's my job. It's my job to acknowledge me. It's my job to see my own value, just like it's your job to see your own value. We don't base our value off of what other people. We base our value off of the how we are developing the relationship that we have with ourselves. I was trying to. I was. Oh, here's a couple of more songs that kind of remind me of Limerick Natures. Amy Winehouse, I think, has a little issue with limericks. For real, for real. Her song "My Tears Dry on Their Own." That is a very, very, very great example. Just look at those words. Put it up. Look at those words. That's limericks at its best. And as y'all can see, her story didn't end well. Makes you rest in love, light, and unity. And then there's another song um, called, and this is a family for a family dynamic, and how Limerick started with me. It reminds me of how Limerick started with me, and it's a song when Pink first came out, and it's called "Family Portrait," and it just talks about how fucked up it was being a part of a house where your parents were fighting all the damn time, and you just wanted peace. And she described this misperception of what she thought love was. She thought that if she behaved a certain way, that they would stop fighting and make peace with each other, and they didn't have anything to do with her. So those are some examples of limericks at its best. My lessons for limericks. My time's running low, y'all. I was avoiding my unhappiness in my real life. I had a lot of shit going on, and I had a lot of trouble going on in my relationships, and uh, it was an escape. This other person was an escape. Real love happens. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, real love happens. We just have to be here for it. We have to be in the present to even recognize what real love is. We can't be in our imagination and our heads, and a lot of times in our feelings. I realized that my real life needed me. I almost sabotaged my real relationship for a fantasy of a online crush. So just take that to heart. And then the last one is see things that they are. They will never wake up and see you for who you are because you're not revealing who you really are and who you want to be. A lot of times, like in my situation again, I was not telling myself the truth and I wasn't telling them the truth. So that's that on that. Uh, Anna Ruckle has some real love signs on her platform. Please look at that. But I'm running out of time, y'all. I love y'all. And until next time, love, light, and unity. Ta ta.